It is Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025, and this is Spring Office Hours, Season 4, Episode 35, Year in Review. My name is Dan Vega, Spring Developer Advocate at Broadcom, joined by my good friend and colleague, DaShaun Carter. DaShaun, it's
It
close to
has
Christmas.
been a wonderful year. It is like, if you're a Spring developer, it's been an amazing year. Things are trending in the right direction, and it is holidays, like right before the holidays. We like to call it Christmas Adam in our house. Christmas Adam.
I like it. I can't believe the year's almost over. It just seems like we were just in Vegas for SpringOne not too long ago. That was August.
Yep. And so many things have happened since then.
Yeah.
Like things are wild. This ecosystem that we're all just trying to I'm not trying to learn everything. I'm just trying to keep my mind wrapped around where things are going so I can kind of maybe just know the right direction to look. It's not about trying to learn. I just want to know, is it going that way? Am I going in the right direction? Just want to know which direction to look. That's enough.
Right.
That's enough to keep up with.
Happy holidays, Ted. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for everyone here. Again, if you're here in the live stream, go ahead and ask your questions. We'll see if we can get to them. We've got a little bit of an agenda today, but we're sure that within that agenda, things will come up. So go ahead and ask your questions. We also, this is going to be the last, why am my Zoom so messed up? This is going to be the last episode of Season 4. So the next time we talk, it'll be 2026. And Spring Office Hours will be heading into Season 5, which is mind-blowing. Pretty crazy to think about. So, yeah, you can catch us on the live stream, and you can go ahead and get us wherever you get your podcasts, because we'll take this and turn this into a podcast. So you could take us on the run, you could take us in the car, you could take us wherever you like to listen to podcasts and listen to the soothing voices of Dan and DaShaun.
I don't think anybody ever said, no. I did see a comment. Dan, you do have a soothing voice.
Oddly pleasing voice. Yeah.
oddly pleasing. That's
Yes.
it. Oddly pleasing. Soothing voice. I don't know.
No, Jitter Ted, this is not Season 26. We're going into 2026, Season 5. If I misspoke, I'm sorry.
Hey, no, we're on the right track. Things are heading in the right direction. And yeah, we're going to take some time to look back.
Yeah.
Look, you got to know where you're coming from to know where you're going.
That's true. That's true. So I had a chance to go back and watch Season 4, Episode 1, which was the first episode we did this year. And it was kind of our what's gonna dominate the discussions this year. What are some key predictions? And so I'll start with this one. We both acknowledged uncertainty around the 2025 job market. DaShaun noting only 2 people in his network were actively looking compared to 32 during COVID. Part of that job market we thought would be return to office trends might create opportunities for those willing to go in person. And you, DaShaun, emphasized the importance of cultivating real professional relationships. He mentioned making a list of 500 people he'd want to work with again. So that was our job market discussion, and pretty on point, right? Although there was a lot of up and downs in the job market this year. So I think we're kind of coming back to that point. What say you?
I do remember making a list of the 500 people, and maybe it's the time of year. This is definitely the time of year where lately I've been reflecting on hey, I had maybe some missed opportunities or some people I wish I would have done more with this year. So that was a nice little reminder from myself to hey, let's cultivate some of these relationships. And there are definitely people that I'd like to work with again. And maybe I should update that list.
Yeah, that's nice. I like the idea of making a list. And I think I've pointed this out before, but we all get a little blindsided by social media and numbers. And so maybe it's nice to have 2,000 followers on LinkedIn or whatever it is, or connections, whatever they're called there. But if nobody's going to recommend you for a job, then what's the point of having 2,000 connections, right? Like I'd much rather have a fostered network of 25 people that I regularly talk to and that would recommend me for a job if something came up. So instead of trying to chase those numbers, those vanity numbers, try to like cultivate, make real connections first and then keep them alive, right?
Yeah, unless it's part of your job, right? I get that. Sometimes we're metrics driven for us, especially. So yeah, like it's good to have those numbers sometimes. But yeah,
it is. Yeah.
For our audience, I think the chasing the numbers most of the time not really that big of a deal. Definitely build relationships.
All right, and then we also in this episode talked about the upcoming year of releases. So JDK 24 was being released in March, JDK 25 in September, Spring Boot 3.5 in May, and Spring Boot 4 in November. Spring AI, we put hitting GA sometime in 2025. We found out that happened, May 20th, I think it was, somewhere
right
around
before
that
the
time.
release. Yep.
Right before like we're right at Spring IO. So
yeah.
So yeah, we'll touch more on those releases in a bit, but I want to talk about some of the predictions we had this year.
We made predictions?
We did. They were kind of soft prediction. We weren't like betting the farm on them, but we did make a couple predictions.
All
One,
right.
we said we would do over 45 episodes of this show. Said we could do multiple episodes a week. We could go to conferences. DaShaun, this is our 35th episode.
But you know what, though? We definitely did show up at conferences and do episodes at conferences. That was fun. But what we didn't predict is how much travel we would be doing this year.
Yes, that was the biggest part.
Was the big thing. So yeah, we can circle back to that later. But yeah, it's been a busy year.
Yeah.
The thing I like to say at my house is the reward for good work is more work.
Yes.
Clearly we've had a lot more work to do.
Yeah, we'll have to think about what we can set some goals for this podcast next year, because there are definitely things I want to do with it. And we'll kind of circle back in our New Year's episode to that. But all right. AGI hints in 2025 question mark. Sam Altman claims discussed, but we both remain cautious, a little bit optimistic given developers' notoriously bad times of estimating.
We kind of have a sense. Like I think you've been in this space in 2025. You've definitely spread your wings and become a thought leader in the space, done amazing things, workshops, content all over the place. Like you have a really deep understanding of what it looks like, at least from the Java side of the thing, of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And there's some reality, like we're not getting paid. Our stock price doesn't go up on the hype. Well, never mind. Like the things are happening. Like we don't have to hype up the AGI or the potential of AGI in order to move things forward. So a lot of the stuff, a lot of the hype, we can kind of like dig through. So yeah. There's a big difference.
I tell a lot of people, and I've kind of caught wind of what's happening, but anytime you hear a lot of these predictions, you gotta like remember who's saying them, right? When the CEO of Anthropic comes out and says in 6 months, 90% of code is going to be written by large language models. That was 9 months ago, by the way. You got to remember who's saying that. Like he has a real vested interest in that happening, right?
Yep.
When you hear CEOs saying we want to cut the workforce by 30, 40% because of a large, yes, they want to do that. They have a large investment in that. That would save them a lot of money, right?
Let's talk about some of those numbers, right? So Microsoft's CEO, I think he said 60%. He said some large number of the percent of code that's going to production. That's happening already. There's a large percentage of code that's already being
again, what they kind of say this, but like, did it just go through like an automated check of a large, like actual code being written and not being supervised by some human is probably a very, very low number at this point.
Well, I say at the beginning of the year, but there's at least 2 organizations that I'm aware of where they are now at this kind of like front front of the pack. And you can imagine we work with the global 2000s, and we work with some of like the really smart institutions, and some of them have these kind of agentic flows where an agent has an ID, they can assign it a Jira item, it's writing documentation, it's doing code reviews, and all the things. Like there's definitely two organizations in my mind that are doing that they're kind of front of the pack, doing the things that, oh, we will get there one day. We're lucky that we get to work with these types of organizations, but there's only two that I know of that are at that level.
But even then, like, I don't know which two you're talking about, but I'm sure there's many humans in the loop still. Like, that hasn't replaced developers.
Right.
And so, so the idea of AGI, that target keeps moving too, of like, what do we define AGI as? I saw a bunch of tweets like I was going back to this, and there was some at the beginning of the year, like, OpenAI's, I think 4.0 in there. Everybody was like, oh, this is like definitely AGI. Like, no, it's not. We are very far from that. Some of the really big thought leaders in this space are saying, we are 5 to 10 years away from something like that happening.
Yeah.
These incremental improvements that we're making in models are great for everyday use cases. The benchmarks come out and say they're the greatest model ever. But I don't pay attention to that anymore, by the way. But yeah.
All the models. Like there's another thing that we can talk, like the year in review, it would be a shame if we didn't talk about the model roller coaster of, oh, we're the best. No, now we're the best. And the amazing coincidence when one organization puts out their model that says that they're now the best. And then 2 days, 24 hours later, another company saying, nope, we've got one better.
I think you can use those benchmarks as like a data point in like how you evaluate things, but it shouldn't be the one, or it shouldn't be the only one, right?
Right.
A lot of times I go off of like feel, like I know that's not a great benchmark, but like I'm going to give this model a spin and do some of the things that I do every day and like see how it feels and see like, is it producing the things that I want it to produce? So yeah, there's a bunch of different ways you can test that out, but yeah, it was a lot of really great models that came out this year. So.
And the models are getting better at doing things, right? As we start to incorporate these different models into our lifestyle, right? Our work life, we find like there's different things that need to happen. We don't need to talk to all of things. We don't have to activate the entire model in order to answer this one question. Right. This mixture of experts where, hey, I'm only going to activate this part of the model to address this type of question. Like lots of these little advancements that really don't matter to us, but we get to see the results, that feel of when I'm asking a question, I get a snappier response, I get a better response, or I can see it now thinking and going through its reasoning. It's amazing.
Another thing we said was agentic AI workflows, like the word agent, the word agentic. We said AI agents and MCP, Model Context Protocol, are going to become mainstream, comparing adopting AI now to adopting spreadsheets in the 80s. That's kind of where we're at. And it was definitely a year of the word agent. I think it gets overused a lot. Like just because something uses a large language model doesn't mean it's an agent. But we like to throw that term around because it's nice and markety and buzzword, right? But Model Context Protocol definitely saw huge traction this year, right? It's only a year old now. We heard about it all year long. I got to talk about it all year long. But yeah, I think that was a good prediction, but pretty easy prediction by us.
Ian Duncan's in the chat. Hey, Ian.
Hey, Ian.
Things are happening. The whole like agentic, I'll be honest, and I shouldn't be surprised. But the creator of Spring, Rod Johnson, he came out with a framework, an agentic framework called in Babel. And it's really been, for me, it's really been kind of listening to Rod and James and Josh talk about in Babel and all the things, like they're painting a path. They paint a picture. So when I think of agentic, and I'll also say DaShaun Lightfoot over at AWS, his amazing work. There's like, I'm using MCP, and then there's these agentic flows. There's a big difference between in that spectrum of where you're saying the word agentic or where we are saying agentic. And there's definitely in my head, there's kind of a picture of what it looks like and what it looks like the best case scenario, the best of class today, and I'm learning a lot. So I definitely, when I hear it, I think that really doesn't fit my definition of agentic. But
Right.
in Babel and the stuff that they're doing over at AWS, that's definitely.
Don't forget Spring AI. There's been a lot of
And,
stuff coming in Spring AI,
well,
especially around like agentic workflows and agents. Christian, I have like a list of 10 things that I've got to get caught up on.
yeah.
I've been building so much like content around Spring Framework 7 and Spring Boot 4 that I have a document of like, these are the Spring AI things I need to get caught up on.
Yeah.
And there's so many great things out there. So definitely check out the Spring AI blog if you want to get caught up on some of
Let's talk about Spring AI, because that's been a big deal, right? We didn't get a release until May. MCP was huge. We just talked about Christian and contributing the Java SDK to Anthropic for MCP.
Yeah, like, not just Christian too. Like there is the Spring AI team. There's a bunch of folks on that have contributed to that. So,
and what are the big things, right? At the beginning of the year, we were still doing chatbots and RAG, and we were kind of identifying. I'm thinking back all the ways that we were thinking about these RAG workflows and how am I going to get my data updated? That felt like that's what we were doing at the beginning of the year. And then things kind of changed where we realized like RAG didn't necessarily mean vectorized. It didn't necessarily mean a vector database. And we were pulling in all of this context from other places, partially due to this model context protocol. And then security became a big part of the story.
Yeah, I have a note here that says one of our prediction was privacy-focused AI, smaller, specialized models that you can run locally. I think you mentioned Jetson, Orin to run models locally, right? So yeah, there was a lot of shift around like, hey, there's all these great frontier models out there, but maybe I need some of these like specialized local models that I can just run on my machine.
When I made that thought or that prediction, when I was looking into my crystal ball a year ago, I was definitely thinking we had this like increase in the number of SLMs on the market, on Olama, on Hugging Face. We saw these small language models that were kind of specific, and I thought that's where it was going to go. Similar kind of approach or the reasoning happened, but what I'm seeing or what I've seen over the past year is more and more of the models being the cloud models got pulled in. So they're still running the massive models, but they're running it locally. And they have these nice closed, tighter feedback loops, tighter data loops. And they're running these large models locally. We also saw some really amazing things around compute.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
You can run locally.
Yeah. NVIDIA came out with, I keep getting fed all of these videos in my YouTube feed. Like NVIDIA has the Blackwell, but I can't remember that. Is it Digits is the little machine that they put together? It's like $4,000, but it's really powerful.
And some of our extended team, we got a whole channel devoted to that and running it. And I was planning on doing that after my last trip. I was planning on going down that path, but just kind of the early feedback was like, I'm getting a lot of this stuff from my M4.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of the same value, the speed, performance. I would want to go down that path if I was getting a big bang for the buck. But the stuff that we've got, the stuff that we're getting at Best Buy or at the Apple Store, like they're doing a great job.
I saw somebody chain like a bunch of Mac minis together and running like the huge open source models, like the biggest ones out there. And I was like, oh, that would be a fun project to do.
Yeah, the XO platform, I don't know if that's still got legs, but this way of slicing up your models and having them run on different machines and getting this much faster response time at scale that matters. Ian's here. Like, I like to share, I like to do stuff. And even when we do workshops, sometimes I'll just run the models on my laptop. And for a one person doing it on your laptop, that's great. But when you open up to a team, if I want 25 people asking a model for something, that gets taxing really fast. So you can understand why we're hearing about these $10 billion data centers to stand up in order to meet the demands. There's a question here in chat. It's like, hey, like, what do you think? I'm just curious. Like, what's your honest opinion on agentic? Is there real value there, or is this over engineering in disguise? Is it the future?
Yeah, no, nobody knows what the future is, but there's real value there because I guess the whole point of, and it depends. It always goes back to what is your don't know why that happened. It always goes back to what is your definition of an agent? So there are agents and then there are agentic workflows, right? And I think if you can identify the things that could be improved by some type of workflow, and if there's something that a large language model can help with, yeah, there are definitely some places where we can improve a lot of things. I use some different workflows in my own content creation space of like creating content, and that's definitely improved like the things that I work on. So I could just imagine, and we've worked with customers on some of this stuff. So yes, I again from a over engineering in disguise. No, I don't think so. Like we are all still trying to figure this out. Like what is the end game here? So yes, there is still a portion of this where we're all just trying to understand what is the best thing we can do here. But no, I don't think it's overhyped. Yeah, you'll hear a lot of, I guess that's, there's some hype when it comes back to like calling everything an agent just to get eyeballs on it.
Yeah.
And we know that's not the case, but yeah, I think, agents and agentic workflows gonna be another huge year for that next year.
And I understand it's hard to name things. Naming things is hard. So we'll get there. We'll get there. And when we start throwing these names around, we'll understand exactly what is meant by that name. There's also been some like pretty like large, amazing like headline reports. We had one headline that said 95% of these AI projects are failing, right? Across the board. I think that was an MIT study. And then we had another one of the analyst groups, they did a study and they said 60% of developers are now incorporating code assistant AI help in their workflows, and they're reacting positively. Like these really different number stories I think they're both true, but we've heard some really crazy reports on what's happening. But the value question, we are definitely seeing, and there's like this teeny tiny box of power that I think is being underutilized. And I said it wasn't really a high value because it's so easy now. This idea of going in and vectorizing your data. There's so much data. I know that you've done like hey, Dan in real or Dan as a service, where you've gotten vectorize your data and I can go and ask it about. Like that is an amazing tool, and it's the best search, or it's better than any search that I've developed on my own. To go and vectorize this data and then be able to ask it without having to do some fancy query language in the search, because we've all done that. But vectorizing your data in order to make it more valuable or easier to access, that is one of the easiest things to do and most valuable things to do. And I associate that with this whole AI movement in agentic workflows. Like that's a small part of what is happening in order to show more value.
Yeah, I think one of the best terms to come out of this year is context engineering. I would like that to replace vibe coding, because context engineering is all about providing as much context to the LLM about what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve. And we can do that through a variety of means, right? Like MCP servers do that. Some of the tools out there have gotten really good with things like skills and custom / commands. So it's all about context engineering, providing the LM exactly what you want to provide it because it's trained on certain data up to a certain date. And if you could do that, you can get the right outputs that you're looking for, right?
You mentioned this / commands. This rise of the CLI. This new birth of the CLI and all the power that the CLI is providing. So still inside of your development workspace, a lot of times I'm just using it in a terminal inside of my IDE. But this rise of the Claude Code, the Gemini, Codex, right? The Continue, like all of these CLI tools, and our team, right? The Spring team, they definitely came out, or Mark worked on the Spring AI agent framework. To support these CLIs and give these CLIs a workspace and some guidance. We talked about the benchmarks and all the things. We also delivered an approach a different style of benchmarking because some of the benchmarking tools seemed a little bit self-serving. So yeah, we kind of, or Mark Pollock introduced another benchmark as well. So
Yeah.
lots of movement in the space. You can't throw a stick.
All right, I got two more predictions, and one I'm curious to hear your thoughts on. We talked about augmented reality, the continued evolution of AR tech. You showed off your X-Real glasses. You also mentioned wanting to try Ray-Ban Metas or Apple Vision Pro. What say you on that front?
I think you were the one that wanted to try the Ray-Ban and the Apple Vision Pro. I definitely had the X-Real. Yeah, and I remember, right? So Apple Vision Pro, that kind of sputtered out.
Yeah.
We saw, videos of people walking down the street doing their stuff with their Apple Vision stuff on. My son has some of the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. I think
nice.
that this is definitely it's a smart place. I mean, this whole wearable technology in general, I'm a big fan. Like from my background, like that's just where I'm having a lot of fun, and I think that is going to grow. And I will say boldly, we're going to have at least one more player in the market, and I'll also say this: of our small team, at least one of us is going to have. No, I'm going to go say two of us on our small team are going to have some augmented reality glasses, whether it be from Apple or Meta or whatever. There's going to be two of us on this team. 40% of our team is going to have something like that by the end of 2026.
All right, we're not in predictions yet. Hold on to that one.
I'm making it. I made it. I did it. I already said it.
All right, but you got to put it in. You got to put it in the next episode so we can track that.
Deal.
I keep like pie in the sky dreaming of this space getting better. And yes, it's at a good place, but it just seems to move so slow. I don't know what's going on here. Like I want to be in a world where I am like, a lot of us work from home. We'll talk about another prediction here in a second, but I work from home. If I wanted to like teach a room full of like 100 people, the only way to do that right now is over Zoom, and it just doesn't work. You get the 100 people on Zoom, maybe 2 people are paying attention. Like it's just not the same, right? When I go to conferences and you get 20 people in a room, like they're invested, they're there, they're watching, they're asking questions. It's just not the same on a Zoom call. So I envision this future where I have this augmented reality where I'm sitting around a room of people, right? Maybe it's an avatar or something like that, but that would, I think, would bring a level of engagement to like online teaching and being able to like connect with other people. I think that's part of it too, like being able to connect with others. And I envision this dream, and it's not coming true.
A good friend, they did that. Like they had the Meta AI or the not the glasses ones, but the Meta ones that you wore over your. I don't remember what they're called.
Yeah.
And every employee got one, because they were remote first. So as an employee coming into the startup, you got these glasses, and that was exactly what you're talking about. They would have their meetings, and you'd see each other's avatar around the room. And I agree, it makes a difference.
I've seen videos on it. It's nice, but it's not where we need to be.
Not where we need to be, but it's also not a good replacement yet for in person. Right. I'm still having a lot of fun at Jugs, Java user groups around the world. Like those are still very, very powerful. If you're not in one, I recommend you find one and join. Because again, go back to the relationships. It's much more important to have a relationship, have somebody that you've shared a slice of pizza with, or laughed at a joke with. That's definitely the better way to go if you get a chance.
Speaking of why, we're years removed from COVID. Why have U.S. conferences not gotten back to what they've been, whereas European conferences have? It's a question I don't have an answer to, and it's just very, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Like even user group meetings. I mean, I know you guys do well. There's a few, the Java, the New York one, the Atlanta one, they get good attendance.
Yep.
But man, for the most part, user groups are not the same. And I used to like kind of equate this to, at least for us, we were downtown. People would be downtown for work. They just kind of hop over after work to a user group meeting. Now, lots of people are remote and they're like, I'm not driving downtown for a user group meeting now. And I don't know, when it comes to conferences, do we not have the budget to fly people around anymore? Is that different? Do people just not want to go places after COVID? Like, I don't know the answers to that, but it's a little depressing at times when you go to U.S. conferences and they're not as well attended.
I didn't get to go to conferences for the first, the bulk of my career. I wasn't attending conferences. I had the user group, and that's all I had. And the user group was like a mini conference. It was like a year-long single track conference, right?
Yeah.
I go to one session a month, and that worked. But that's all I had for the first 18, 19 years of my career. And I understand that. But now, having been to conferences and seeing the value that I get, now my future is like, hey, there are things that I want to learn this year. I'm not done learning. I want to go to conferences. But I get it. Not everybody has time with the demands and culture. Things are crazy. If you're having to drive, you're commuting, do you really want to take that extra time to be away from the family? To go to a user group, even when the user group is in your building. Right. I get it. Right. I get it. Everybody's got these demands, and I think it's a cultural problem more than a budget problem in the US.
Yeah.
But I am very pleasantly amused and surprised and energized by the younger generation, the millennials that are, or in younger, that are adopting this, and they're understanding like, hey, we've got to go out and do these things, and they're joining these jugs and doing these things in person. I see it. I think it's just going to take some time. But yeah, I think it's trending in the right direction.
I had a conversation with someone at a conference this year, and I think if you take it back to kind of a macro level, I don't know about your neighborhood, but I notice in my neighborhood, I have a couple of older people on both sides of me. They're both European. They're very invested in the neighborhood. They'll come out and talk to you. They talk to everybody else. They walk around the neighborhood. I don't find that for a lot of other people who are not invested in the neighborhood, but I see them complaining on Facebook groups about somebody's dog pooping on their lawn, right?
Yep.
And so like, I don't know, is it like we just like lost this like sense of community, and maybe that's at a macro level, and maybe that's kind of grown, at a conference level, at a getting together level. I don't know what it is, but I do see a little bit of that even locally. And
I will definitely say that's yes. In America, we've kind of lost a sense of community. It's definitely things have changed, but that makes me sad.
All right, one more prediction. We said return to office. This trend will continue in 2025, and I don't think we just said it would continue. It more than continued. We got all of the return to office mandates. Unfortunately, we've lost some friends, some coworkers because of that. This was a big trend in 2025, and I don't know that this can continue in 2026 because we're there. People have returned to the office.
People have returned, but yeah, there's I think contradicting forces at play. There's a lot of places that like, hey, if you want to go and get the benefits that company offers, and they say, hey, you got to come into the office. Like, I totally get it. But there's also, from my perspective, there's a bunch more places, startups and the like, that are like, hey, yeah, you don't have this level of salary or this level of benefits, but you get to work from home. And at least in the US, I think that trade-off is happening where people are like, hey, I'm fine to work from home. Now, with that said, overseas, the whole idea of working from home and going to the office, like it's a totally different thing. People go into the office. People go into the office. Maybe it's not 5 days a week, but people are just going to the office. And sometimes I'm jealous of the working around the same laptop and having hallway conversations. Like, I get it. There's trade-offs for both.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it also, I think, depends on where you are in life, right? When you have a family, you don't want to be driving 2 to 3 hours a day to commute to the office. Like, you want to be able to spend time with your family. So it depends on where you are, but I definitely know, like, if I was like young and single, like I wouldn't want to be trapped in my house every day. Like I get depressed sitting in here all the time. Like I want to be out. And so, yeah, there's probably a really good mix there, but yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about that going into 2026. Okay, so those are some of our predictions. What happened this year? JDK 24 released March 18th, 2025. Being named a JDK 24, there were 24 JEPs, a record number. This was a non-LTS release, but there was a lot of stuff.
Big features. What was the things that you took out of?
So I've been a huge fan of Project Loom. So Project Loom has a lot of the concurrency story there. Started in 21 with virtual threads. There was a huge article from Netflix after the case that, like, this is great, virtual threads are great, but we can't use it because there's this issue going on, right? And there's this idea around virtual threads getting pinned to their carrier threads in a synchronized block. And so JDK 24 released a fix for this, and a lot of people were like, that's it. Now this is for the masses, right? Because now we're not going to run into that issue. So that was really big. What else do we have here? I was a big fan of the stream gatherers, kind of another way to write your own kind of custom functions inside of streams. Yeah, that was it. I'm 24. A lot of things were still in preview in 24, that some of which came out in 25 and some will come in 26. But yeah, I thought 24, a record number of JEPs. That was pretty cool.
Fantastic.
And then JDK 25 in September. This had 18 JEPs. This was the new LTS release. And if you're following along with Spring Framework 7 and Spring Boot 4, we are still baseline on JDK 17, but we are optimized for the new LTS JDK 25, DaShaun.
Which is fantastic, and man, our team, the Spring team, does amazing work. That they are able to give you all the benefits of switching to Java 25 without having to hurt any of the other ecosystem. So the rest of the apps that can't move to Java 25, they can stay on Java 17 and they can still move forward with the framework. They can still all the benefits. Of course, moving to Java 25 is going to be better, but that they are able to do that at scale, that's amazing. It's amazing that they figured out how to do all these cool things, and we get the benefits.
A couple of things that were finalized: compact source files and instant main methods. So we have this nice, simple void main. We have this like IO import that we can use. So io.println. So this getting started, this hello world looks really easy and simple to approach. So that was nice to see that finalized. And then scope values, another part of Project Loom, was finalized in 25. That was in preview for a while. The final part of that is going to be JDK 26 when structure concurrency gets finalized. And then that whole Project Loom story, I don't know if anything's being added to it, but at least the whole story that they set out to tell will be complete, which is really exciting.
Fantastic.
So, part of JDK 24 coming out and JDK 25 coming out, I was looking through our episode list and like all the things we got to talk about this year. Part of that is every time a new version of the JDK comes out, we get to hang out with our friend Billy Corando, and that's always a good time.
And yeah, the release party, that's the Java team did a really good job of having their release parties, and we always got to hear from all the different teams and a lot of like customers on all the cool new stuff that's happening. And we've had a regular cadence with Billy, and that's been awesome. He's amazing. He is one of my co-coordinators of the Kansas City Java user group.
So
shout out to Billy.
We also had some really great guests on the podcast this year. I just want to give a shout out to a few of them. Shar, as we know, moving forward with Java, or moving Java forward. We talked to him early in the year. That was a lot of fun. We got to talk to Cora, our teammate. We got to talk with James Ward about running MCP-based agents. We got to talk with so many folks on the Spring team. I see Phil here a couple of times, Spencer and Ryan, gRPC with Dave Sire, Craig Walls on his book with the AI. We got to talk to Josh Long, Glenn Renfro. Who else here? Josh Cummings. So I wanted to say that to say thank you. Oh, and Brian Kozel yesterday. So
Yep.
I say that to say thank you to everyone who came on the show this year, shared their wisdom with us. I didn't mention all of you, but there were so many of you, and we appreciate your time. And you guys make this a lot of fun, being able to talk, and we use it as a way to learn from them. So thank you to all of you.
Fantastic.
All right. The other, obviously, this is the Spring office hours. We had a couple of Spring releases this year, right?
Yeah.
We had Spring Framework 3 or Spring Boot 3.5. This was in May. This was the last 3.x release. So there will be patches, but no more minor releases in the 3.x line. We say goodbye to 3.x. We don't say goodbye. We just say see you later, because all of those great features are still here. So, and then obviously the big one, Spring Boot 4, Spring Framework 7 in November. We have been talking a lot about this here in our internal kind of get-togethers that we have with customers. On the YouTube channel, on conferences. This has been a big topic as of late. So what have you been hearing about Spring Boot 4? Anything good?
Yeah, like it is good. And the things that are powerful, I'm a big, two questions that I get asked most are how do I develop more like the Spring team, and how to make it go faster, how to make my application go burr. And I think now, with the upgrades, right? I spent a lot of time with upgrades. The team has made Spring is legacy, and they've done such a good job of giving a path for these workloads to move forward. So what I'm hearing, the things that I hear about are about how easy it is to upgrade, right? The new, Greenfield experience is just as great as ever. It continues to get better. But when you're doing Greenfield, the resulting size of your app, right? With this modularity, it's smaller. Things are still starting out faster. You're getting all these new benefits. They keep on moving the needle forward. So with Spring Boot 4, one of the biggest feedbacks that I've gotten is how the Kotlin experience is now same. So we're getting this like parity for Kotlin users of Spring and Java users of Spring. And that's been kind of the biggest like kudos back to the Spring teams. Like, yeah, this is great.
Yep. I think for me, and I think we've talked about, I think, from day one of office hours, this was really a goal. A new version comes out and there's some release notes. And I mean, the team does a great job with the release notes, but people just kind of scan through them, right? And go, none of this is like really for me. I'm just going to move on with my day. And I think, we've done this with customers. We go in and we give talks on like what's new in Spring. And it's like, null safety, yeah, whatever, not a big deal. And then we like talk through what null safety means to you as an organization, and these light bulbs go off.
Yep.
Like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, we need to do that. We need to get upgraded. And so that's been a lot of our focus at the end of this year, talking with customers, doing, videos or whatever, articles on this stuff. And it's really kind of our job to like highlight all of the wonderful work that the Spring team has done. So
Release notes plus.
Yeah, I love that. And as Jitter Ted says, ALT repositories, JSpecify, modularity. The list can go on. I'm a big fan of the improvements to HTTP interfaces. The ability to use Jackson 3 and the now immutable JSON mapper is really nice. I've been having a lot of fun learning all of this too. So I'm excited to see where that goes in the new year, and maybe I'll have some predictions around that. So
Fantastic.
all right. I thought I'd just share out a couple of personal highlights this year. I wrote a book, and the
You
book
wrote a
is
book.
out. That was really exciting for me. I don't know if we talked about that being a prediction. I don't know if I was confident that it would be out this year.
Right on.
But got it released. Fundamentals of Software Engineering. You can get it on Amazon or on O'Reilly. That was a lot of fun. Definitely a unique experience and a lifelong career goal. I also got to 14 conferences and gave 22 conference talks. This does not even count like the internal customers that we go see. That was a lot more, but I won't put that number out there. But yeah, it's just so much fun being at, whether it's a customer. We had a really big customer at one of the largest buildings in the United States this year, and that was really cool to be at. It took us like 20 minutes to get all the way back to where we were presenting.
Yeah.
And it's just like the energy you get from being around people, the questions you get, the interaction. It's just so much fun. And so I'm very grateful for everywhere I got to go this year and talk to people.
Yeah, this was a big year for me as well. Not as many conferences. I got to a few, but I visited almost 100 different customers, and
Wow,
I got to
that
go
is so cool.
all over the world, in the US and abroad. Portland, Charlotte, Miami, Las Vegas, New York, Atlanta, Alpharetta, Chicago, Palo Alto, Berkeley Heights, Lubbock, Toronto, Montreal, Edinburgh, London, Nairobi, Schiphol, Den Bosch, Amsterdam, The Hague, Germany, Brussels, Poland, all over the place.
You spent like a month in Europe this year. That was pretty cool.
Twice.
Huh?
I did that twice. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And the spring-loaded boot camp that I did in Kenya, that was probably one of the highlights.
Yeah.
That was kind of a birthday present for myself.
I like it.
It was fun.
Yeah, I saw the videos around that. That's super cool.
An amazing group. So at the beginning of the year, that group, the Kenya Java user group, they were the newest recognized Java user group. And now I think we have one more. If it's not official, it will be soon in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So yeah, the number of Java user groups is continuing to move forward. And that group in Nigeria, they're doing amazing things. They're doing great sessions on Saturdays, and then they do these lightning talk sessions on Tuesdays. So just like online virtual lightning talk, and it's fantastic. They are definitely doing the work, and they're working on like a boot camp, like a Jug organized boot camp. So yeah, I did say Nairobi. I went to Nairobi, and it was one of the highlights of my year.
I've learned a lot from your videos this season. Which Spring Boot 4 change are you most excited about? Man, that's hard to like. It's like picking one of your kids. Yeah, none of them are your favorite. You can't say that, right?
I do. I mean, I'm not about my kids, but I do about my releases. I always have my favorite features.
I know your mom and dad are watching, so he didn't mean that.
Well, I'm their favorite, of course.
Yeah, of course. Well, you start. What's your favorite?
The support for this new AOT caching, again, performance, all the things that we can do to make our apps start up faster and to get to that optimized state faster. That all came in Spring Boot 4, having support for that in Spring Boot 4. That's my favorite feature.
I will say I'm gonna cop out here and give you two.
I'll allow it.
For me, when I'm writing code, like, and I'm going back to like, I remember being in the trenches, having this like anxiety about like shipping this new feature. Part of that is like having the confidence that what I'm doing is not going to break, and more importantly, not break the system as a whole, right? So I think for that reason alone, I like the nullability annotations with JSpecify. I've talked about it many times, but something I kind of picked up from Sebastian Deleuze was like, yeah, I mean, these annotations are cool and they solve some problems, but like most of all, it just kind of gives me the confidence that when I'm writing code, I'm not introducing this runtime exception that is going to bring everything down, right? And so I get that in two places. I get it in the IDE. I can also get it at build time, which is really cool. So I think just giving us a way to do that, people have asked me like, well, you can use optional in certain places. You can, but you can't rewrite your API with optional because that changes signatures. You can't use optional on parameters. So I think this, until we get support for this at the JDK level, which there are JEPs out there, who knows when those are going to be done, right? So until we get that, I think kind of moving away from the Spring-specific JSR 305 annotations to JSpecify is a big one. And it was a huge undertaking for the Spring team, right? Like it wasn't just Spring Framework or Spring Boot.
Every project.
Ecosystem. Yep. Yeah. So I'd say that's probably one of my favorites. Along the same lines, the REST test client. It's just this testing utility that like I didn't have a way to test using the REST client before. I had to reach for the test REST template or the web test client, right? And now I have this test harness almost that can test a whole bunch of different things. So no longer am I reaching for different things to test different things. I can like unit test controllers. I can test with a full application context if I want to. I can test with a real server. And I've always been confused in the past because there are so many options to choose from when it comes to testing. Like I have this one kind of component to go ahead and use and test again. So those two things alone like give me more confidence as a developer. So I'll say those.
Right on. And if I were to guess at what our customers, our shared customers are most excited about, I'd say it's the open telemetry support. That's the thing that, all the way back from Spring Boot 3, we started hearing about, open tracing was going away, open telemetry is the new thing, like help us make this move. And here we are. Now we have it.
Yeah, and if you missed it, I talked with Brian Clozel yesterday about this. I'm actually producing a video today. This is going to be my last video for the year. So I'm putting that together on OpenTelemetry. And I don't know, I just found this out yesterday, but like the part of what made this possible is another Spring Boot 4 feature, which was the modularization of Spring Boot. And so because of that, we were able to kind of pull bits out of like the actuator and not have everything kind of tied to this like huge auto configuration dependency, right? So one feature kind of led to another feature, which was really cool to see. And yeah, it's really great because like you include this starter and like you have metrics and traces out of the box right away. There's one more way to kind of configure some logging stuff, but you get all of this out of the box really simply and really easy to get up and running with, which is the Spring way, right? I don't want to configure anything. I just want to run my app and be off and running. And so that's pretty exciting.
So yeah, we're doing stuff.
Oh, thank you for this. We had a donation here on the YouTube channel, and it says, which 2025 prediction surprised you the most? Again, I think, DaShaun and I weren't looking into crystal balls. We were being pretty safe with our predictions. But yeah, I think the job market, we just don't know. As we said, we thought people were going to return to office more. We thought it was kind of stabling out. But throughout the year, I don't like watching the news, DaShaun, because every time I watch the news, it's like bad news. It's never good news. It's like, somebody, whatever, bad thing happened. So I avoid the news. And now I'm trying to avoid social media because anytime I hear about my friends being laid off or mass layoffs at a huge tech company, like I don't want to see that because it hurts. And I feel like I saw that too many times this year. So that kind of surprised me. But now that I've had time to look at it and go, okay, we might have overhired during the pandemic. This is being corrected. I don't think this is an AI thing. I think we're starting to see an uptick in hiring, which is good. But yeah, it's one of the things that a little bit most surprised about that and curious to see how that goes in 2026.
That's probably the thing that surprised me the most, the volatility of the job market. I definitely wasn't expecting it. I thought it was trending in the right direction. And yeah, it just it was shaky. But it's growing. There's just more opportunities. It's just not in the traditional ways that we expected. So
Yeah.
that's probably the thing.
Yeah, the job market is making me nervous as someone who is about to graduate with their degree in software engineering. I get it. And it's really hard for me to put myself in someone's shoes right now. But I will say that like I had that same feeling 25 years ago, 24 years ago, right? It was really hard to get a job then. Like you have to have experience to get experience, like, and they're looking for X amount of years of experience. It's tough breaking into this industry as a whole. And I'm sure there's a lot of angst and anxiety around AI and where the job market is right now. I guess the only piece of advice I can offer is like be persistent. When you do get those interviews, if you don't go through to the next one, don't always take it as like this is a me problem. A lot of the times, companies may pull recs and say we can't hire any more people under this. But just ask for feedback and say, hey, was there a reason, I didn't move forward? Or is there something I can work on towards the next interview that I get? Just be persistent. As this industry is, always be learning. Try to keep learning. Try to avoid resume-driven learning, right? Be specific on what you're trying to learn and just be persistent. It'll work out.
I will add to that the number of it was hard to do a startup in the 90s and the 2000s. And I will say that I see a lot of these 4, 5, 6-person companies doing amazing things. And what I'm seeing is like a lot of the change in the market. We've got more smaller, specialized companies that are doing things. I think that still there's not enough people to do the work. There's still way more demand for software engineering than there is people to do the work. But connecting those dots, as a software engineer, finding where the demand is, that's hard. And I will credit that to the AI slop resumes that are going through.
That's tough.
You take a look. Any company, they post a job, they get immediately thousands of AI generated applications, and that is a problem. That's something that's going to have to change. But I still think that there's more demand for software engineering now than there ever has been before. There's more demand, and there's still not enough people to take care of.
Yeah, I'm in that camp. I think software engineers are going to be more needed more than ever. And I saw along the lines of vibe coding, or they were like, oh. So I see these tweets kind of all the time, but somebody was like, oh, we're no longer going to need like HubSpot or whatever CRM, like these huge applications out there because companies will just vibe code them. And I'm like, have you ever been a software engineer? Because everywhere I've worked, we've never had enough engineers to work on the features for the product that we sell.
Right.
And like now you want us to like vibe code HubSpot over the weekend?
All the stuff that we do to operate the business too?
Right.
The stuff that doesn't make us any money?
Right. Like, no, we're just going to pay for that and continue to focus on our applications, right? So yeah, I think we're more needed than ever. And that's what I'm screaming from the mountain. Who knows if it'll turn out that way, but
I want to answer
quick
this
question.
one.
Should I learn first Jakarta EE or Spring? You can learn them both. Spring pulls in Jakarta EE and uses a lot of features of Jakarta. So you can learn them both
I'm very
at the
biased.
same time.
Yeah. Learn Spring first. I'm just going to say it.
Is in today's job market, is it better to go deep with Java and Spring Boot or balance that with other tools and ecosystems?
This is a good question. And Dan, I think you should answer this because this, I think, is an underlying thing, a concern from your book.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. It depends, right? It always depends. It depends on what your goal is. Like, is your goal to get a job? Then I would start looking through, like, especially we're all returning to office. Maybe we're not looking for remote jobs now. Look in your area. What are people looking for? You need to have a level of foundation Java to be able to work in Spring Boot. So I would say that you start with Java. You got to get a foundation there. once you understand it at a kind of beginner level, you can start to get better at it as you're building Spring apps. So lay the foundation with Java, then move to Spring Boot. And then what is it that you're trying to do? If the goal is to get a job, then yeah, like I want to be a I want to be a Spring developer. If all the jobs around Spring are kind of cloud centric and working with microservices and distributed architecture and these patterns, those are things that you should learn. When I don't know what tools you're talking about, but if you're talking about AI tools, I mean, take advantage of them. They're just another tool in your tool belt. Don't use them as a crutch. If it writes code for you, make sure you understand what that code is. Don't let it just kind of write code and move on, because you're not going to learn anything. And you're going to be in trouble when you get in an interview when you can't explain some of the decisions that this code made, right? So I would say that we always talk, DaShaun, about being a T-shaped developer.
There you go.
You got to learn the foundational stuff. So Java, Spring, and then across the top of that T, you should have a little bit of knowledge of like AI, a little bit of knowledge of like how to get things to production. All of those things you should be kind of foundationally aware of, but your base of your T should be Java, Spring, and whatever else needs to be there.
And mine similar. Like I'm a big fan of that T-shaped developer. And my advice to people is you got to find out what you want to go deep in. You've got to find that thing that you enjoy. Go deep on that. If it's the tooling and the DevOpsy stuff, go deep on that. But you got to find one thing to go deep on, one thing to build your expertise around, and let that be kind of your core, your stable, and then balance it out with the rest.
And don't let that one thing be money. Listen, we all get into this industry for a variety of reasons, and I'm not gatekeeping. Listen, I understand that this industry has opened up so many opportunities for me, but don't let money be the driving factor. It's definitely a factor, but if you want to do this for 20, 25 years, like DaShaun said, find something you're passionate about. You can find something that pays well and something that you're passionate about in this industry. So try to find that combination, and yeah, work backwards from that. If you know you want to be like DaShaun and you want to be a developer advocate going to different conferences and customers, maybe sit down with DaShaun one day and say, hey, what does your career look like? I would like to kind of see how you got to where you are. What are some things I could do to do that? And like, especially in your organization, and if you have people like you're going to the office every day, hey, let me go buy you lunch one day. And people will be happy to do that. I don't know anyone who would not. So you got to be deliberate. I talk about this in the book, deliberate skill acquisition. There's so many shiny new toys these days. You can't just go chasing all these things. Like if you want to get to where DaShaun is and walk kind of his roadmap, then you got to learn those things and not be kind of distracted by all the other things that are coming.
There's a lot of good books out on like the path for software engineering, and the path looks different than when I started. When I started, literally, it felt like, hey, you junior, senior, and then you became a project manager.
Yeah,
that was the path.
I didn't know there were other paths, and it was like I just thought I was going to be like code, keep coding until you get better, and then you can either be a coder or a project manager, right?
And now,
or people manager.
Yeah, now you can do whatever that T is. You can do these things, for a long time. You can retire. The ecosystem has changed, and the opportunities have changed. But yeah, if you're doing something that you enjoy, it doesn't feel like work, and you'll have more fun. And yeah, the money won't matter as much.
Wow, 2025 is over. Well, not yet, but it's almost over. It's been a fun season, DaShaun. I love hanging out with you.
It has been, and there's nothing quite like bumping into somebody. Oh well. For me, it happens like, hey, is Dan here? Like, hey, DaShaun, Spring Office Hours, right? Is Dan with you? Is he there? Like,
whatever.
I see that all the time, but it's fun hearing from people saying how much they enjoy the show. Like, it's definitely there's value here, and that's part of what makes this job fulfilling for me, is that we get to do this as often as we do, and we get real feedback. I get to see people's faces, like, and they'll tell us about the episode. Their favorite thing. Oh, that one time when the light bulb went off from an episode. Like that's that's joy. Like that is one of the things that makes me love this job so much, is that we get to do this.
Yeah. I got a question here. Can you share your mails for reaching out for help? Yes, danvega@gmail.com.
And mine, you can go to DaShaun.com and you can grab my calendar. There's a link to my calendar at DaShaun.com.
Yeah, danvega.dev. I have all my socials on there. Please reach out. Now, we're going to wrap this up, but springofficehours.io. One thing I want to do for the new year, DaShaun, is try to put together a schedule so folks know when we're going to be streaming, what we're going to be talking about. So we'll see if we can't get that together. So keep an eye on springofficehours.io for that. The next time that we will talk will be Monday. What is that? January 6th?
The 5th. I'll be here.
All right. So the next time we will be together will be Monday, January 5th, and we'll talk about the new year. That is 2026. We'll talk about some of our predictions, some of the places we want to go, some of the releases. We'll be talking about GDK 26 and 27. Some features and coming out in spring, maybe. I know Spring AI has a release early in the year. So we'll kind of look at what the year is going to bring us, some of our predictions, and just hang out with you guys. So
fantastic.
Again, thanks to all of you for joining us all year long. We've seen a lot of familiar faces, or avatars here. And it's been really great. It's been a fun year, and we can't wait to do it again in season 5.
Yes. Fantastic. Great times.
Awesome.
We'll see you next year.
All right. See you next year, everyone. Happy holidays.